Virella had made peace with death. The winds of Corthaxis howled across the shattered plateaus, tugging at her torn battle robes and whispering through the ruins of her once great city. The alien sky, once a deep emerald, had faded to a sickly brown from the smoke of orbital bombardments. The city-state of Marhala, her city, lay in rubble, its defenders butchered, and its resistance shattered. Her people, the Zalari, were proud and fierce, with bioluminescent markings that once lit the night like stars. Now, only her light remained, dim and flickering. She stood atop the last spire, the only structure still intact, watching the enemy transports descend. The Draken horde had come to finish what they'd started. Their leaders wanted her captured, paraded, humiliated. Virella had chosen to face them instead, blade in hand, tall and unbowed, ready to die on her terms. The last of the beacon fires had burned out 3 days ago. No reinforcements, no allies, no hope. The wind carried the growl of engines, and she could see the hulking Draken warriors advancing across the ridge. Beastly bipeds twice her size, armored in scaled plates and wielding weapons fused from organic and synthetic components. She flexed her claws and whispered to herself, "Let them come. I will be legend in death." But as she took a step forward, prepared for the final charge, a streak of light tore through the sky. Not another Draken drop pod. It came from a sharper angle, cutting through the clouds like a blade. It impacted with a thunderclap not far from the ridge, kicking up a geyser of fire and rock. Even the Draken paused. Then she saw him. A figure stepped from the crater. Middle. He was not tall by Zalari standards, not broad by Draken ones, but something about his posture made him seem enormous. Clad in black armor that shimmered with kinetic charge, he walked with the calm of one who had seen death and ignored it. A long-barreled weapon, primitive in design, brutal in execution, hung at his side. His visor retracted, revealing a human face, stubbled and scarred. Human. Impossible. She had heard rumors of them. Scattered war beasts of distant worlds, cunning and resourceful, impossible to domesticate or control. The Galactic Council had once labeled them as strategic anomalies, unpredictable and rare. They were said to bond fiercely, love deeply, and fight like nothing else in the stars. She had never seen one in the flesh. But now one had come for her. The Draken roared, breaking from their confusion, charging toward the crater. The human didn't flinch. With surgical grace he moved. His rifle barked once, twice, each shot dropping a Draken like a puppet with its strings cut. He advanced as he fired, each step calculated, purposeful. He didn't waste bullets. He didn't hesitate. And when one of the beasts got too close, he dropped the rifle and drew a blade of plasma so vicious it hissed even in the cold wind. He moved like a storm-given flesh. Virella watched in awe. Within minutes, a dozen Draken lay dead. The rest hesitated, looking to their commander, a massive brute with 4 arms and a hammer the size of a gravbike. The commander bellowed and charged. The human didn't run. He raised his blade. The two collided with the force of falling titans. The hammer smashed into the earth, cracking stone, but the human rolled beneath, slashed at the tendons behind the creature's knees, then vaulted up and drove the blade through the monster's throat. Silence. The remaining Draken turned and fled. The human didn't pursue. He looked up straight at her. And he started walking toward the spire. Virella met him halfway, descending broken steps of marble and bone. When they stood face to face, she found herself unable to speak. His eyes were the color of a sky she'd forgotten. He beat her to it. "You're Virella." Her voice caught in her throat. "Yes." He nodded. "I'm Sergeant Logan Reed, Terran Defense Corps." You looked like you could use some help. She blinked. You're alone. Small smile. Not entirely. My dropship's wrecked, but Orbit has me on live recon. My squad was heading elsewhere, but I diverted when I caught your distress beacon. He looked around. Guess I got here just in time. You could have died. I still might. He shrugged. But then I saw you standing there. And I thought, damn. If I were gonna die, that's the last view I'd want. Her cheeks flushed a faint gold. You're strange, she murmured. I'm human, he replied. Strange is part of the package. She laughed. It was the first sound of joy that had touched the spire in weeks. In the days that followed, the ruins became their battlefield and their home. Reed repaired his armor using Dreeken tech. Varela led him through the city's underpaths, showing him the hidden caches of supplies and relic weapons. They fought side by side, ambushing raiding parties, stealing food, leaving symbols of resistance carved into the walls. The Dreeken grew cautious, then nervous, then desperate. They had underestimated the fire of a dying people. Worse, they had underestimated what happened when a human stood with them. Reed was relentless. He didn't just fight, he inspired. The scattered survivors of Marhala began to emerge from hiding. Zalari warriors, elders, children. Varela became their queen once more. And Reed, he became their blade. They asked him why he fought for them. He always answered the same way. Because she didn't run. And now neither will I. Ending. It wasn't long before the Dreeken sent a full battalion to crush the uprising. Over 100 troops descended from orbit, deploying siege platforms and air support. It was more than Marhala could possibly repel. But Varela had changed. She no longer stood ready to die, she stood ready to fight. And she wasn't alone. Under the shadow of the broken spire, the humans came. 3 Terran warships broke from the upper atmosphere, responding to Reed's final transmission. They didn't bring armies, they brought vengeance. The ships laid waste to the siege platforms with pinpoint orbital strikes, carving the battlefield in fire. Drop pods descended in waves, deploying combat engineers and battlefield medics alongside other elite soldiers. Varela watched it unfold with wide eyes. Reed, standing beside her, simply said, "Told you I wasn't alone." She stared at him. Why would they come? He met her gaze. Because when a human fights for someone, we don't abandon them. And when one of ours says, "She's worth saving," we believe him. The final battle lasted less than a day. With Terran support, the Zalari reclaimed their city. Reed led the charge against the Dreeken warlord who had ordered the extermination. The fight was brutal. Reed took a blade to the shoulder and nearly lost consciousness, but Varela caught him, lifted him, and together they finished the monster. When the dust cleared, she cradled him as the healers worked. "Don't die," she whispered fiercely. "Not planning on it," he coughed. "You'd never forgive me." "I wouldn't." His hand found hers. "You know, you could come with me. The galaxy's a lot bigger than this place." She smiled, then looked out over the rebuilt square, where Zalari children played and humans shared rations with alien kin. "No," she said softly. "But you could stay here." He blinked. "Seriously? You've bled for this world, Logan Reed. Owes you a life." "I owe you a life." He considered it. "Well, as long as there's decent food and someone to spar with. And someone to kiss you when you're not being an idiot."